All right, what's good, everybody? Today, I'm gonna go over the Luke Simonds versus Alan Klingbeil fight. And I want to apologize if you can hear anything in the background. There's some people on the roof clearing off debris because we have a hurricane coming straight at us. But yeah, it was a great fight, man. This was one of the closest fights of the season. It literally could have went any way possible. Like Luke could have won, Alan could have won. It could have been a draw. It really was so close, man. And the reffing was definitely good in this fight. I was happy with it, especially in a close fight, man. You really don't want the refs interfering with a close fight. Obviously, you want them calling fouls that are fouls, but you don't want them any inconsistencies or any blunders by the refs in a close fight because it can really cost somebody. So both guys had an offensive foul, and Klingbeil actually had a flinching call on him too, which is pretty rare, man. He's not known for that. I don't know that he's ever been called for flinching. I could be wrong, but if he has been, it's rare. He's a notoriously clean fighter, which is weird because he had two fouls in this fight. So Luke also had a foul. He had a stepping foul in his first slap. It's funny because it'll sound weird, but like if you can somehow put the club and the step to the side, they were definitely fouls, and just focus on like the placement of the slap, obviously minus the club, these were some of the cleanest slaps I've ever seen, especially on a back and forth. I mean, like they were just back and forth, absolute money slaps, just absolutely perfect placement, clean as a whistle. And yeah, that was just great to see by both guys. I mean, this was again like there were fouls, but for the most part, this was high level power slap, man. Anyway, so Luke, in the first round, he had a KO win over Caesar with one of the best slaps of the season, in my opinion. I think I'd probably put his knockout against Caesar number 2 on the entire season. Um, it was it was vicious, man. And not only that, he ate a slap and got knocked down and was still able to come back and find the knockout. And he also had to get over a legal windup on his first slap ever, which will definitely mess with your head. So yeah, he came out of the first round despite the illegal windup looking really good and looking like a problem. And for Allen, man, so he's the number 5 light heavyweight in the world. Even after the updated rankings just came out, they still have him at number 5, and I was surprised to see him on the show to begin with. I like that he went on the show, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't surprised. And not only was I was surprised that they gave Luke Allen. In only his second slap fight, you're going to give him the number 5 guy in the world. I think it just shows like what they think of this kid. To be able to just see him in one fight and then be like, okay, you're ready for the cream of the crop in the division. I mean, Allen's number 5, but he is a very, very, very good slap fighter, man. He's a power slap vet. He's been in there with some of the biggest names. I mean, Terp, the coach of the season, he fought against, and I mean, he has been in there with Vern Cathy. He's mixed it up with some of the best guys in the world. So again, very good slap fighter, crazy chin, good power, amazing accuracy. And again, he usually doesn't foul. So it was a little weird out of Klingbeil. I think that Klingbeil was just almost more worried about putting on a performance than he was landing effective slaps and winning the fight. That was just something I noticed. I'm not saying he wasn't trying to win the fight. But yeah, anyway, with that said, Luke won the toss and he was slapping first. And dude, this was a big slap, man. It was a big slap. It was right on the target. But he did step, and so he got called for a stepping foul. Again, the slaps in this fight, as far as like placement minus the club, were some of the cleanest I've ever seen. Luke just is pinpoint accurate as far as his hand goes. So his hand-eye coordination is crazy. His accuracy is crazy. But yeah, he did step. It was the right call. And so yeah, good shit by the refs. One thing that I noticed about Luke is I think that the lights can get to him a little bit. So he's had a foul on both of his first slaps in both of his fights. So it really takes him a little bit to get settled in. So I think the nerves definitely didn't help him in this fight because He seemed like a tiny bit nervous. So yeah, it was a step. It was the right call and a perfect recovery by Allen. That's one thing that Allen's really good at. He's always been good at it. He's one of the best in power slap at playing off the slaps. He always has been, and yeah, Allen's just a complete fighter, man. He really has no weaknesses. He's not necessarily a master of anything, but he has no weaknesses. He's just a really, really well-rounded slap fighter. On Allen's first slap, bro, this was a monster slap too, man. Right on the money. But Luke just absolutely munched on it, man. Again, Allen was a little too showboaty. But yeah, with the stepping foul, the first round obviously went to Allen. And then on Luke's second slap, dude, this was another absolute hammer, man. An absolutely perfect slap as far as placement goes, man. Allen just has a crazy chin. It's as simple as that. So Luke definitely could have used a little more of his hand on this one, but I want to be very clear that that's only because this is power slap, man. Like on if he was fighting in slap fight championship and threw that strike, it would be 100% clean. But if he had thrown a little more hand, he probably could have got called for a club in slap fight. But in power slap, they're very, very, very lenient on offense. Like just because you can use more of the hand, it's not necessarily that like you should. It's more just like you can get away with it. So it's a little tough to say like use more of your hand because it was one of the cleanest slaps I've ever seen. It just more so is like you can get away with more in power slap. So if your opponent's going to use more of your hand, maybe you should use more of your hand. It's one of those situations, man. But yeah, anyway, it was another great playoff by Allen. He just knows how to play off slaps, man. He really does. And then on Allen's second slap, bro, this was another absolute hammer, man. It was a really good playoff by Luke. The fight really came down to the second round because Luke had a foul in the first round. Allen had a foul in the third round. So it really came down to the second round, and it could not have been closer, man. It really could not have been closer. And so I always say it like you have to be playing these off, man. You really do. And both guys did a great job of it. But yeah, it was a great playoff by Luke. So this round was so close, man. I thought that both slaps looked basically the exact same. Like I didn't think that as far as the slaps go, I think it was a draw. But if I had to pick a winner, man, I think that Allen might have played this second slap off a little bit better. So, but again, like this could have went to Luke. It's so subjective when it comes to like playing off the slaps. I just cannot emphasize enough how important that shit is, man. But both guys did a good job of it in this fight. So yeah, it couldn't have been a closer second round. I probably would give it to Allen, but so close. This was one of the closest fights of the entire season. But anyway, on Luke's third slap, um, dude, it was another perfect slap, man. It was another perfect slap, but Allen actually flinched, and it was so crazy. It just goes to show how clean this slap was because Allen flinched, and it still landed so clean, man. So clean. Allen's chin is just absolutely legendary, dude. It's absolutely certified, man. But he did flinch. It was the right call. And then on Luke's third slap, so technically his fourth slap, second of the third round, dude, another hammer. Another hammer. Allen's chin is just absolutely ridiculous, man. Again, he probably could have used more of his hand, but it's just because he could have got away with it, not because it would have been a cleaner slap. Like these were some of the cleanest slaps you can possibly land. I don't even understand how you can land cleaner. And like, yeah, I get that like power slap wants their knockouts, but at the end of the day, like clean slap fighting is clean slap fighting. So a lot of times these back and forth wars, I prefer more than a one round KO, man. If you want to sprinkle in a last round KO, that's perfect. But I love these back and forth battles, man. It doesn't get any better. And so this was just a great fight. And then on Allen's third slap, so all right, so this was a bad club, man. It was a really bad club. So rare from Allen, man. He really doesn't foul. So again, I just think that he was so hyped up in the moment. He was even talking way too much before he threw the third slap, man. Like, I don't think that he realized how close this fight was. I think that he thought that he had control of the fight. And so he was really talking too much, man. He was like, before he even threw his slap, he was like, man, you did a good job today. You did a good job today. And it's like, bro, you might want to land this slap before you start talking shit. I really didn't like that from Allen. Again, there's levels to to like being a showman. At the end of the day, you have to win your fight. So being a showman is great, but if you lose the fight, it doesn't really help you out that much. So yeah, I thought that was a big blunder by Allen. I think he could have won this fight if he just focused. And it's not the best look, man, losing against Luke. He wasn't even ranked. In hindsight, knowing how good Luke is, like it's not that bad. And he didn't even drop in the rankings. But like on the surface, before you see Luke perform, yeah, this was his fight to lose, and I think that he did lose it for himself. Um, but yeah, anyway, it was a bad club. It was the right call, and dude, Luke ate it. He called him a pussy, and sometimes it's just as simple as that, dude. You don't have to scream, but you have to do something. And so, similar to like in the first round with Caesar, on when he got slapped and ate it, he was just like "fuck you, bitch," and then he just walked away. Like he was just like, "You hit like a pussy" to Allen, and then walked away. It's perfect. It's perfect. I believed him that he wasn't rocked. So if I believe him, the judges probably believe him. Um, but yeah, so Allen loses the third round due to that clubbing foul. So first round, Allen with the foul by Luke, and then third round to Luke with the foul by Allen, and it came down in the second round, man. It came down in the second round. I thought both slaps were literally identical, and I think Allen just did a tiny bit of a better job playing it off. But again, if you gave it to Luke, I completely understand. I don't think that he's fighting at Power Slap 9. I'd have to guess that they would have announced it already. And it's probably due to passports. I think that there's a few people that you're not going to see on 9 just because of passports. It just goes to show, man, if you're in Power Slap and you're trying to get an opportunity, you better have your shit together, man. You better have your shit together. You never know when these calls are going to come, and they don't always come. So you have to be ready on a moment's notice. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to make it in Power Slap, yeah, you just have to be ready for everything. So hoping to see Luke at 10. And I think they're gonna give him a big name, man. I think they really like this kid. Um, Allen didn't end up moving down in the rankings, which was a little surprising. I thought you could have moved him down one and literally given Luke his spot. I'm gonna do a separate video on the rankings for light heavyweight, but yeah, I thought you could have put Luke higher, and I thought that you could have moved Allen down one spot. You can't penalize him too much because at the end of the day, I think he did Power Slap a favor, man. He did not have to fight, dude. This was risky coming on the show and fighting somebody that's not ranked, man. I do love it from a career standpoint because he got a bunch of clout being on the show. And so I always say that like if you're on the roster and you're not like top 5, you should be getting on the reality show every season. And he was right on that borderline at the top 5. He was number 5. So I love the decision. It was just risky, and so I think Power Slap realizes that, and they kind of threw him a bone with that. But yeah, could not be a bigger win for Luke. I mean, they put him on with this one, man. Putting Klingbeil's name on your resume is so huge. And he's going to be a big, big problem. So, one to watch for sure. Great fight. Really enjoyed this one. And yeah, until next time.